Welcome to another episode of Business by the Numbers. I'm your host, Demarest, CPA with Parmelis & Associates. So I must have struck a nerve last week with a couple of you because I had a couple of messages from you saying, hey, that was a bit pessimistic. And for those of you that said I was being pessimistic, since I recorded that episode, the market is down almost 2%, and you can now finance your DoorDash purchases using Klarna to buy your food now and pay for it over the next 6 months. So if you think that that's what a perfect economy looks like, then hey, maybe you know better than I do. This week, though, I have something sort of related, but at the same time completely different. The whole idea that we're going to talk about this week is metrics on your customers. How often you guys see them, how much they're spending with you, and how you can use these same numbers to guide your business. Before we get into that, I just want to stop and say thank you to you and the rest of the dedicated listeners. Remember, if you want your question answered on here, you just have a question for me, or want to hear a topic discussed, shoot me an email at podcast@parmelis.com. Need accounting and tax help for your business? Give Parmelis a call or a text and let us know how we can help you and your shop. Shoot us a text at 301-307-5413. And lastly, we cannot forget our dedicated sponsors, Napa and Promotive, for being such loyal supporters of the show. If you need to hire that new rock star for your team, or you need a new shop management system, give them a call and let them help you, just like they have hundreds, if not thousands, of other shops just like yours. So I feel like this is really kind of a core episode about what this podcast is all about. Running your business based on the numbers and kind of seeing what you're emotionally feeling and getting into the actual numbers and metrics of your business to see if you're making the correct decision, emotional decision, or really if you can probably just shed any insight onto an uncertain situation. Like a lot of things, this idea came from a conversation I had with a client, but this conversation actually probably happened 4 or 5 years ago during COVID. And this is a local client here in the Maryland, D.C. area. And if you are not aware of it, and it still probably is, the Maryland, D.C. area was probably the hardest hit market in the country. And why? You'll find out in a little bit. So here is what he found out, and later what I found out, and now what you guys are going to find out. So he had an exercise because, let's be real, his business was not doing well. This is an example of what we saw a lot in COVID, but specifically in this area. And some of this you guys might not be able to kind of connect with. I get it. COVID for a lot of my shops was the best time. Maybe had a little bit of a slowdown, but after that, I had most of my clients having pretty record years. So even if you say, Hunt, COVID never affected me, this is not for me, believe me, this episode is still for you. Give you a little bit of backstory on this shop because it is kind of important. Long time shop. My client has not run it the whole time, but this shop has been there for a long time. Probably doing about $2 million a year or so before all of this, and a very, very loyal customer base. I would say virtually zero money spent on advertising, and this is a very, very important aspect of that. So, like a lot of shops, COVID hit, and so did his sales, right? I don't think that there's most places around the country outside of a handful that did not see any downturn, even if it was temporary, right? Even if it was a very short-term thing. But 6 months went by, still didn't see the bounce back. 8 months went by, still didn't see the bounce back. And really, this whole exercise of what we're talking about came pretty much a year later. If I had to guess, this was probably spring of 2021 that we were speaking, and after he had done what we're about to talk about. So this client is probably one of my more numbers-focused clients. So, as you can tell, this is something that kind of comes from like an accountant's mind. So when he told me what he did, I said, wow, I love that. And with his permission, said, let me share this with other people. Some of you guys have heard this. I've talked about this with individual clients before, but never really done it on an episode. And I thought today, in this current climate, what better time? Now, how does COVID relate to today? Yeah, we're still not to the end of the episode, guys, so just stay with me. What he did here, and I recommend everyone to do this, and it's a great time of the year to do this, was to kind of recap his previous year numbers. Now, I know you might be saying, Hunt, we've already done those, right? You went down, you did the sales, you did the gross profit, right? All right, but let's take a look at this even farther. So what did the numbers say? The sales were down, right? Now, again, is this to be expected? Yeah, I mean, my client was not doing well. He was broke. He was getting hit hard. So he knew that his sales were down. Gross profit percentage, was that down? Well, yeah, that was of course down from a percentage standpoint because his costs were relatively similar. He had the same team. He paid them a similar amount of money, but they did not have the cars to do the work. They did not sell the hours. So gross profit from a percentage standpoint, from a dollar standpoint, all down. Now, like a lot of you, his overhead was actually up and up a good bit during COVID, and maybe is still today, because we saw and are still seeing sky-high inflation prices. You guys are starting to see why we're doing this now, right? And then obviously if sales are down, gross profit is down, and expenses are up, what do you think that his profit looked like? It was way down, right? So this exercise started the same place that this exercise starts for all of you, right? Hey, had a bad year, need to recap. I want to understand why. I want to understand how. Let me look at my financials. Now, the thing about it is a lot of you have done this part. You've went down and you have seen all the issues. You have asked all the questions of your numbers, and for some reason you think that those numbers have provided all of the answers to you.
Let's face it, your shop management system is the single most important tool in your shop, period. You need Napa Tracks because it integrates with all the major players, including Napa ProLink, PartsTech, OE RepairLink, Epicor, Tire Connect, Mitchell 1 Pro Demand, and more. Napa Tracks has leading-edge tools and technology that your shop needs right now. Unlike the other guys, we'll be there after your installation with the best training and support in the business. Your training includes a learning management system that is tailored to each role in your company. Simply put, Trax was designed and built for shop owners just like you. It all starts when a local representative meets with you to learn about your business to help optimize your shop's workflow, efficiency, and profitability. For over 30 years, Napa Trax has made selecting the right shop management system easy by offering the best, most comprehensive SMS in the industry. After all, it's your shop, so it's your choice. Visit us on the web at napatrax.com. That's NAPATRACS.com.
My client, as some of you might find out pretty quickly here, knew that he did not have all the answers. Right? Numbers don't lie, but they often don't tell the entire story, right? We're not robots. Numbers can't tell you everything what we need to do. We don't read lines of code with ones and zeros. So what did he do to add some context to these numbers? Because he had still not learned anything that he didn't know, right? Hey, I know my sales are down. I was looking at my shop management system. I'm looking at my hours. I'm looking at the faces on my guys. So seeing these end of year financials did not really give me any new data, right? What data this gave me is, wow, if my sales are down, 25%, my financials are going to look really darn bad, aren't they? And they did. What his next step was is really kind of changed his business, and this has helped a lot of other people, so that's why we're sharing it now. He knew something was going on, but COVID was a very good example because he had no idea what was going on, right? If you want to look at recessions, if you want to look at world wars, if you want to look at a number of different things, even something of the most terrible things we've ever seen happen have happened before. We have history, we have track records, we can go back and look at it. COVID, a worldwide pandemic, we've never seen one before, knock on wood. Hopefully we will never see one again, but no one knew what to do, and neither did my client. Now, customers didn't either, but he needed to know what they were thinking, what they were doing, because if the customers weren't coming in and weren't spending money, he knew that he needed to figure out why. If you don't understand why, how can he fix that issue? So what he figured out is this. He has a basic premise or a basic idea of what his customers look like, and I hope you do as well. So this is a local shop here. It's a European shop, not necessarily European, but I would say, tend towards the European market on this while still doing domestic. Probably a more middle to upper class client base. And obviously being where he is, a large concentration on government employees and government contractors. So he talked to his client during COVID. All of his clients have money, right? None of these people were laid off. A lot of them were not working, but still getting paid. All of my customers still have a job, right? This is 2020. These are government employees, right? Of course they still had a job. 2025, again, you might see where this episode is going. And all of my customers are working remotely, right? And that was the big thing for this area, is what he found out is, hey, all of my customers have more money than they ever have, which should be a good thing for my business. All of my customers still have a job, but they aren't necessarily going into their job, so they have more free time. This is, again, should be a good thing for my business. Now, if he stopped right there, he would again be very confused. Numbers are looking bad, kind of current or local economic indicators are looking really good. What is going on here? Till he asked that last question. Hey, what is different? Oh, I'm not driving, right? I'm full remote. My car hasn't left the driveway for weeks. So once he talked to a couple clients, he realized, oh, I have a big issue here and I need to figure out more, right? I still know these people are not driving, but I don't know how, when, why, how much less, and what I can do to change it. So what he did is something I recommend that all of you guys do, right? Even if it's not a worldwide pandemic, a global pandemic, COVID, right? Talk to your customers. Does this mean you have to do it? No. Does this mean someone in your shop should be doing this? Yes, right? Talk to your clients. The whole thing is you're trying to build this business to satisfy, to please, to, get money from them. Yet a lot of you aren't even speaking or talking to them to understand what they want, what they don't like, etc., etc. What he did, right, is he called as many of his clients. Now, my client called some, his advisor called some, his manager called some, but they were calling people nonstop. A lot of people have asked this in the past, well, he's slow, right? So was he trying to sell work? Sort of, right? But as we'll find out, he felt that the issue was, hey, my guys are doing fine selling. This is not the time to do high pressure sales. This is the time to listen, not talk. Mostly they were learning, but obviously if you're calling this many customers, you're probably going to sell a couple of jobs too. Now, what he found out is, like we talked about before, his customers are not driving, right? And in fact, he replaced more batteries that year and the subsequent years since then than he ever had in its history of his business. We had clients in this area that their cars were just parked for 6, 8 months, 12 months, 2 years. That is something we've never seen before, right? If you drive your car pretty regularly, a battery's not going to die in 2 years. If it sits there and goes dead, especially the new ones, yeah, absolutely, right? And so he was learning stuff every single day. What he found out from a number standpoint was really, really important. So he had these numbers in the past and he had not updated them, right? He knew how many miles his current customers were driving, and so do you. Because every single time a customer comes in, I think legally, you guys have to write down what their current mileage is, right? So if you look at your shop management system, even if it's pen and paper, all of you guys have one piece of information. How many miles is your clients driving last year? Now, if you've had your shop management system for a couple of years, you can go look at this and compare every single year. How many customers did I have? How many times did they come in? How many miles were they driving? 3 very important numbers that I would argue none of you guys probably know. What my client found out was pretty shocking, but not surprising, and really explained a lot about his business. So his clients used to average around 10,000 miles a year, and he used to see his client every 5,000 miles for oil changes. This is very common. Yours might be 5, yours might be 8, but he saw all of his clients around 2 times per year. Okay. These numbers, 10,000 miles is probably a little bit lower than the average just because of where we are. I think the average person drives 5,000 miles a year. How many times do they change the oil? Hopefully 3. Realistically, probably twice. I don't know. You guys would know these numbers, not me. What my client found out is the same customer base that used to be driving 10,000 miles a year is now only driving 7,500, right? Doesn't seem like a ton, 2,500 miles difference, but it's a 25% decrease. But what does that do? That means that his clients are seeing him 1.5 times a year. Now, I would argue if times are tough or you're getting, even behind on your finances, that could even drop even more. Because if people don't have money and people aren't driving, they're going to drive less, be less reliant on their vehicle, and then maybe even argue that they would stretch out those oil changes. Right? And I would imagine that there was probably some of that playing here. So what did the numbers tell him to do with his business? Did they tell him to maybe try and sell more to the same customers? Maybe, but they aren't driving, so that's going to wear out eventually, right? You could look at this and say, hey, I got people that come in less frequently, so I got to hit them harder when they do come in. If you're not driving your car more than 500 miles, there's only so much that you can sell someone, right? I get it, stuff breaks, preventative maintenance, but if the miles aren't going up, you're just not going to have the work. Did he go back to the team and evaluate the drop in productivity? No, right? What is he going to yell at your technicians? Hey, you guys did not produce hours that I did not sell for you? Again, no. Did he go get on his service advisor for not selling enough? Did he go get on his manager for not implementing new sales processes? No. Maybe, right? You can always have new skills. You can always do it in different ways and improve this, but the numbers match, right? If the mileage was falling, then wouldn't we expect the average money spent or the dollars per mile to stay the same thing? What he realized is, hey, my repair orders are down 25%, and I need to get 25% more customers, right? Let me repeat that again. He figured out that his repair orders are down 25%, and he needs to get more customers. His customers were not down, right? He does not need to go advertise for more customers because he's losing customers. He still has those customers, but those same customers are not as valuable for him. I really think that is an important distinction that a lot of people don't understand here, right? You're looking at these numbers, but then again, you're looking at repair orders like that's the same thing as people. People and repair orders are separate, and sometimes there's a direct relationship between the two, but oftentimes that relationship shifts or swings in one direction or not. Right? And I want to ultimately get two things out of this. And not only do we analyze his sales and figure out that they are down from a number standpoint, I was hopefully able to show you part of this whole exercise is separating those customers from your repair orders, right? Again, sometimes they're exactly the same, but a lot of times when you have shifts in your business, shift in the economic climate, or shift in, a local economy on here, you're going to see these things change, and it's going to dictate a change in your behavior.
Shop owners, are you struggling to find and retain top-tier talent for your automotive shop? Introducing Promotive, on the web at gopromotive.com. With over 40 years of combined industry and recruiting experience, we're the ultimate staffing solution. We go beyond traditional agencies. Our team provides dedicated recruiters and account managers advising on processes, compensation, and benefits. We focus on placing technicians and service advisors with shops that offer the best culture, training, and long-term growth opportunities. Trust our experience to match the right talent to your shop. We carefully select shops that value employee excellence and provide an environment for success. Our dedicated team leads the entire process, leveraging our industry knowledge and expertise. Partner with Promotive and experience their advantage to help you build a high-performing team that drives your shop's growth. Visit gopromotive.com today and let us help find and keep the best talent in the industry.
So what can you learn from this for your own business? So first and foremost, one of the reasons that this is relevant is because the end in sight should be here for the mileage perspective, right? This is now officially in the DC, Maryland area. All federal employees and contractors have to go back to work. Now, why this is also relevant right now is that a lot of those people were sent back to work to get laid off. So now maybe we have a completely different issue. Again, right? This is why this is so important, because if you were to do a census of those government employees 6 months ago, I guarantee you that census is going to be a lot different outlook than most of them have right now today, right? So there's one thing you can learn from your business is this stuff changes and changes very rapidly. Now, why else did this affect his business so much? He was not doing any sort of advertising before this because it didn't predicate this. He had a very loyal customer base that didn't turn over and came in and pretty consistently spent money. For a business that's used to always getting new customers, always losing customers, always turning them over, you might see less of a difference because you're already in there, so you can kind of move those levers up and down a little bit easier than turning on an advertising budget and turning it off. So why is this different than most of you, and why do we still talk about it? So what I think that most of you guys are going to find out when you go down through this exercise is that most of you are going to have very similar mileage. If you are not in the DC, Maryland, federal government contractor world on this, most of your customers have probably already been back to work or haven't gone back to work, but nothing has really changed recently. But you're probably going to see a lot of different things about their spending, their behavior, their mileage, etc., etc. So the reason why I said this is all related to the economy is that it is, but I don't know why it's different for your business. That is something that you need to figure out. Now, I'm not going to go down through the laundry list of all the things on it, but I'm going to give you an exercise here that I want you to go down. This is just one of the reasons or one of the different kind of levers that we talked about, but some of the stuff of what you could see, right? So if I'm taking a look at my business, right, and I also have to look at this from the light of, are my sales different, right? Are my sales up? Are they sales down? Are my sales exactly the same? So let's say that we're looking this and our sales are down, right? Because again, this is kind of like a flow chart. Sales are down and you're going to flow this way, right? Sales are up and you're going to flow this way because you're expecting different things based on what the result is, right? So let's say that your sales are down, but you have the same average repair order. The sales are down and you have the same average repair order. I would then look at customers, right? Again, customers are separate than repair orders, right? So if I have the same amount of repair orders and my customers are down, then that means that the people are spending more money per year, right? Because I had the same amount of sales, but I had less people coming in there spending more money. Now, if my mileage is up, this makes sense, right? I had the same, or I had less people come in even more because they were driving even more, all right? That kind of makes sense. Now, does that make me feel better for the future? Does that make me expect these trends to continue, or is that going to be more deferred work? I don't know, right? Now, if I had the same amount of repair orders, customers were down, which means that they're spending more money, but their mileage was down, that would kind of confuse me, right? Because again, mileage should be kind of tied to their repair cost. If you're not driving much, why are these things breaking so much? And again, I would look at that as an imbalance. Now, could it just be aberration? Could it be a one-time thing? Sure. Could it be, hey, we maybe oversold last year and we shouldn't expect that same thing this year? Again, I don't know. Now, let's say that you had the same, amount of repair orders, but your customers are up, right? Or the same ARO, but your customers are up. So does that mean that people are spending less money per year? Yeah, it does, right? Because we had the same amount of repair orders, but it took more people to get that. Now, again, if mileage is up, people are spending less money, still driving more, and I'd probably expect more work coming next year, right? Hey, people are driving more, we are seeing more people, but we're not seeing it translate into sales yet. That would make me excited for the future, but also, again, I'd probably look and see if I had a customer service issue, right? Why are these people not coming back? Are they not coming back because they're broke? Because we pissed them off? Again, talking to the clients is the only way you're going to ever figure that out, right? Or maybe you look at this and say, hey, same repair order, customers are up and mileage is down, right? Less money because they were driving less and you had to get new customers to replace those sales. That last one is probably the biggest thing that we see, right? If you want to have the same amount of sales that you did last year, you're going to have to get more customers because people are spending less money, coming in less frequently because they have less money. Most people's mileage is probably just tied to their budget on this. But if you look at the economy, the reason why this is tied to last week is the average American is broke. If you look at the average person, the average wage in Maryland cannot afford the average mortgage in Maryland, right? The average person can't afford to even live somewhere. Do you think that they can probably afford to take care of and do preventive maintenance on their car? No. I hope your local economy is better. I hope that you are facing, a different issue or no issues at all. But again, looking down through this stuff and really changing those numbers and putting a face to those numbers and understanding your customers is going to allow you to understand your business more. Now, the hard part about this, just like anything, is there are more variables than you could ever imagine, right? Did you change your sales process? Did you change your salesperson? Did you change your technicians? Did you change your marketing? Did your quotes change? Did your close ratio change? None of this is ever supposed to give you the right answer, but all of these questions should give you information to hopefully make an informed decision. Is going down through this exercise going to guarantee that your business is going to be profitable and you are going to be rich? No. But if you do this, I can guarantee you that you will never have to finance your DoorDash purchase. Again, please share with friends. If you have any questions, ideas for future episode, shoot me an email at podcast@parmelis.com. If you want to talk to me about accounting and tax services for your shop, shoot me a text at 301-307-5413. And thanks again for listening to the Aftermarket Radio Network. And don't forget to check out the rest of the shows on the aftermarketradionetwork.com and on your favorite podcast listening apps. Check out Craig and Speak Up, Matt Fonslow, Diagnosing the Aftermarket, Everything Else, Brian and Kim Walker, Everything Marketing for Shops, and Chris and his Weekly Blitz. So thanks again for joining me on Business by the Numbers. Stay safe out there, and I will talk to you all next week.